Hello, dear listeners, and welcome back to Book Summary 5, the 5-Minute Summary channel. I'm Sammy, your host. Today, we're diving into How to Read a Person Like a Book by Gerard, Nierenberg, and Henry H. Calero, first published in 1971. This is one of those books that quietly changes the way you move through the world, because once you learn what to look for, you start seeing conversations you never noticed before. Body language. Microgestures. The tiny signals people send out without realizing it. Signals that tell you far more than their words ever will. So let's get into it, so you'll feel like you have read it cover to cover. The central idea of the book is deceptively simple. People are always communicating, even when they're not speaking. Every crossed arm, every angled foot, every flash of a smile that doesn't quite reach the eyes, these are messages. And Nierenberg and Calero argue that if you know how to decode them, you become a dramatically more effective communicator, negotiator, and human being. They didn't just theorize about this, either. They filmed thousands of hours of negotiation sessions and studied the footage with almost scientific rigor, cataloging the patterns of movement, posture, and gesture that tend to correlate with specific emotional states. What they produced is essentially a field guide to the human body as a language system. The book opens with a foundational principle: you cannot not communicate. Even silence is a message. Even stillness is a signal. This is important because it shifts the burden of responsibility in a conversation. It's not just what you say that creates meaning, it's the whole performance of your presence. And most of us are performing without a script, improvising constantly, leaking our inner states through our bodies whether we mean to or not. The authors want to flip that dynamic. They want you to become a conscious, intentional participant in the unspoken conversation happening in every room. From there, the book moves into the actual grammar of body language. One of the key frameworks is reading gestures in clusters rather than in isolation. This is one of the most important and practical insights in the entire book. A single gesture means very little on its own. A crossed arm might mean defensiveness, or it might mean the room is cold. But when you pair crossed arms with a turned-away body, a downward gaze, and tight lips, now you have a cluster. Now you have a sentence. The authors are insistent on this point. Don't be a one-signal detective. Look at the full picture before drawing conclusions. They then walk us through the major categories of body language, each rich with real-world examples. Openness gestures, for instance, open palms, unbuttoned jackets, leaning slightly forward, signal that someone is receptive, trusting, and engaged. You'll often see these in moments when a negotiation breaks through a deadlock, or when someone genuinely agrees rather than just nodding along to be polite. The contrast is what Nierenberg and Calero call defensive or closed gestures. Crossed legs, arms hugging the body, head tilted down. When someone shifts from open to closed mid-conversation, that shift is telling you something. Something changed. Something landed wrong, or triggered discomfort, or triggered resistance. The skilled reader of people notices that transition and adjusts. Then there's the territory of evaluation and interest. When someone is genuinely thinking something through, weighing your proposal, considering your words seriously, they tend to display very specific behaviors. A hand brought to the chin, slightly tilted head, eyes moving upward and to the side. These are the marks of active consideration, not dismissal. They're different from the signals of suspicion or doubt, which tend to look more guarded: a side glance, a hand covering the mouth, a slight narrowing of the eyes. The authors teach you to distinguish between "I'm thinking" and "I'm not sure I trust this." One of the most fascinating sections deals with what the book calls readiness and confidence cues. People who feel in control, who feel ready to act or to lead, tend to hold themselves in particular ways. Stealing the hands, fingertips pressed together like a church steeple, is a classic power gesture. Leaning back with hands behind the head signals dominance and ease. Feet planted squarely, shoulders back, chin level. These postures aren't just expressions of confidence, they can actually generate it. And the authors make the point that this awareness works both ways. You can read others' readiness levels, and you can consciously project readiness in yourself. Frustration and tension have their own vocabulary too. The tight jaw. The hand running through the hair. The deep exhale that's trying to pass as normal breathing, but isn't quite. The person who keeps picking at their sleeve or clicking their pen. These are displacement behaviors, the body doing something with the energy that the social situation won't let it fully express. And in high-stakes conversations, recognizing frustration before it escalates can be the difference between a recovered conversation and a broken one. Nierenberg and Calero are particularly fascinating when they get into the dynamics of flirtation and courtship behavior, not in a salacious way, but as a window into how openly our bodies advertise interest and availability. Preening gestures, like adjusting hair or smoothing clothing, often signal attraction. The direction of someone's feet in a group setting tells you exactly who they're most drawn to, because we point our bodies toward the people we want to be closer to. Eyes linger a beat too long. Mirroring happens naturally when two people are in sync. They match each other's posture, their breathing, their pace of speech. And when that mirroring breaks, connection is fraying. Speaking of mirroring, the book devotes real attention to it as a deliberate tool. When we unconsciously mirror someone, it's a sign we're attuned to them. When we do it consciously and skillfully, it can build rapport faster than almost any other technique. The authors are careful here, though. Forced, mechanical mirroring is easily detected and feels manipulative. What they advocate is a kind of empathetic attunement, genuinely trying to understand where someone is and allowing your presence to reflect that understanding. The goal is connection, not performance. Throughout the book, there's also a recurring theme about context and culture. Body language is not a universal code. A gesture that signals respect in one culture signals dismissal in another. Eye contact norms vary enormously. Personal space expectations shift with geography. Nierenberg and Calero are careful to remind us that the frameworks they're offering are starting points, not verdicts. The best readers of people are the ones who stay curious, who hold their interpretations lightly, and who allow new information to update their read. The final chapters bring it all together into a practical philosophy. What the authors are really teaching is a kind of attentiveness, a way of showing up to conversations with your full awareness engaged, not just listening to words, but watching the whole human being in front of you. They argue that most of us are operating with only half the available data in any given interaction. We're hearing the speech, but missing the story the body is telling. And the body, they insist, is almost always telling the truth. How to Read a Person Like a Book is ultimately a book about empathy made actionable. It gives you a language for what you probably already sense but can't quite name, that something feels off, that someone seems more interested than they're letting on, that the yes you just heard wasn't really a yes. It turns intuition into literacy. And once you learn to read people this way, it's very hard to stop. Thank you for tuning in to Book Summary 5, the 5-Minute Summary channel. If you enjoyed this one, please subscribe, like, and share it with your friends. Until next time, happy reading.